are these people?
Yeah, here's another one who's the worst. And I don't know if you said that because you're looking at this photo, Reef. This is our friend Kevin Gosztola. We haven't heard from Kevin in a while.
Yeah.
Kevin did incredible job work on the Assange trial, of course, and persecution. And he's still following up with that. He's still following up and doing work about persecuted journalists. And he published this to his newsletter called The Dissenter, which was really alarming, and I haven't heard anybody mention this, so I brought this. And this is like my feature one for tonight. The Trump DOJ adopts a policy permitting journalist arrests. Wait, what? Yeah. Whenever you see a blonde with a cross from an official position, you know some shit's about to go down. Right? So Kevin's an independent journalist. All right, become a subscriber with this discount offer. Support journalism that stands up to attacks on press freedom. And he is a fighter for press freedom, for sure. Consistent and principled. He says U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi ended a DOJ policy that explicitly discouraged federal prosecutors from forcing journalists to reveal their sources and other sensitive information, including information obtained from potential leaks. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a second because I can point to two cases that we've covered on this show where the Biden administration specifically suspended that and held journalists in contempt for not revealing their sources. And I'm not even talking about Julian Assange. I'm talking about Catherine Herridge from CBS. And I'm talking about the guy from The Blaze, and I can't think of his name now. But right about the same time, they persecuted both of these journalists, and I believe both of them were about January 6ers. All right, it wasn't even about COVID. It was about J6. All right, that's what really pissed the Democrats off, was anybody that reported honestly about the way that January 6th went down in the corporate press. They wanted them burned at the stake. All right, any Capitol cop that told them the truth about knowing in advance that stuff was going to go down? No. They want to know who that was. And they're journalists. They're not supposed to do that. I mean,
President Trump incited an erection.
He doesn't incite very many. I think he incites the opposite of an erection. But with new guidelines, members of the news media who refuse to cooperate with prosecutors could be arrested for contempt. If accused of contempt, they could be fined or jailed. You're going to jail. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Hold on.
Thank you.
If I jail.
Thank you, because I am.
At that.
The move by Bondi comes as Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has referred 3 alleged intelligence leakers to the DOJ for criminal prosecution because she's such a supporter of whistleblowers and leakers, right? According to Tulsi, Cruella DeVille with the silver streak in her hair, one of those individuals allegedly leaked to the Washington Post. The policy change effectively gives the green light to prosecutors to subpoena Post reporters and other staff. That could be alarming. Again, slippery slope. First, they came for Assange. In October of 2022, Attorney General Merrick Garland adopted changes to news media guidelines that were celebrated by journalist associations and press freedom groups. As the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press described for the first time, guidelines prohibited prosecutors from, quote, using subpoenas or other investigative tools against journalists who possess and publish classified information obtained in news gathering with only narrow exceptions. Those narrow exceptions being January 6th and Julian Assange, of course, when it really matters.
Yep.
On April 25th of this year, Attorney General Bondi who of course is owned by Scientology for those who are in the know, and has done Trump favors for over a decade and made his Trump University fraud lawsuit disappear in the state of California. That's why she has the job she has now, by the way. So on April 25th, she issued a memorandum that voided these changes. The memo informs all DOJ employees that members of the news media, quote, must answer subpoenas, unquote, and that it also applied to court orders and search warrants intended to, quote, compel the production of information and testimony, unquote. Bondi, of course, says she will approve all, quote, efforts to question or arrest members of the news media, unquote, because she's a fascist and she's not in support of a free press at all, clearly. She has declared a free press her enemy. The memo further suggests that Bondi will only approve subpoenas, court orders, or search warrants when the information sought is essential to a successful prosecution, and prosecutors have made all reasonable attempts to obtain the information from alternative sources. Sure. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm doing a double CK, by the way. You can't see it, but I'm doing a double CK. Yet the DOJ has wide discretion to conduct investigations however it chooses, and the guidelines hardly mean that Bondi and the DOJ will not trample over the rights of journalists, because why wouldn't it? Bondi cast this development as a necessary part of winning an information war against President Donald Trump's political opponents within and outside the government. Specifically,
fucking say this shit out loud, you know?
It's unreal.
Like, okay.
But wait,
ridiculous.
Specifically, she accused the previous administration of abusing Garland's overly broad procedural protections for media allies by engaging in selective leaks in support of failed lawfare campaigns.
No, because they would have never done anything like that.
Twitter files, what?
Fucking get the fuck out of here.
Nah. Quote, the leaks have not abated since President Trump's second inauguration, including leaks of classified information. You mean about what Doge is demanding from the heads of administrations, and that's supposed to be public information that they're trying to then classify because it will get them in shit? This Justice Department will not tolerate unauthorized disclosures that undermine President Trump's policies, victimize government agencies, and cause harm to the American people. Like, bitch, stop crying. That's the law. Like, yeah, here. Quoting a stunning executive order from Trump that singled out a former official as an egregious leaker. Bondi echoed the assertion that disclosures of information related to foreign policy, national security, or government effectiveness, Doge, could be characterized as treasonous and possibly violating the Espionage Act. Wait. Don't we have to be at war in order to violate the Espionage Act? Doesn't Congress have to declare war?
You see, Cap, that's my secret. We're always at war.
Not if it's declared by Congress. Not if it's declared by Congress.
You don't need that anymore.
Bondi stated, the perpetrators of these leaks aid our foreign adversaries by spilling sensitive and sometimes classified information onto the internet. You mean American citizens who work within the government that feel it's necessary to publicly out and whistleblow because public channels are going to bury their information? The damage is significant and irreversible. You sound like Hillary fucking Clinton. Accountability, including criminal prosecutions, is necessary to set a course. Snowflakes upon snowflakes upon snowflakes. Fuck all these people. They're just trying to rig this so that they're beyond prosecution. You get that, right? Garland's protections for reporters stemmed from a backlash to news reports which revealed that Trump's first administration had secretly subpoenaed the communications records of reporters at the Post, CNN, and the New York Times. Huh. So they had already been trying to persecute corporate media. How long before they start coming after the independent media that actually gets the story right? In fact, after Biden
they'll
assumed,
go for their particular patsies first.
Well,
We'll at least get some canaries in the coal mine.
this cunt is also trying to get the fucking death penalty on Luigi Mangione for something they can't even prove he actually did.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
In fact, after Biden assumed office in 2021, the Department of Justice did not immediately stop Trump's retaliation against the press. Of course not. DOJ officials even imposed an unprecedented gag order against Times executives. Because, of course, they did. DOJ officials eventually met with media representatives to tamp down outrage and agreed to limits on national security leak investigations. The overture was similar to Attorney General Eric Holder's response to widespread media disapproval in 2013, when it became known that Obama's administration had seized records from more than 20 separate phone lines assigned to the AP and its journalists. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Obama administration was spying on the press and on all other foreign leaders, too.
Thanks, Obama.
Throughout the Biden administration, a coalition of groups recognized that the protections for press were subject to change under future administrations. They urged the House of Representatives, strongly worded letter in Senate, to codify the changes into law by passing the Press Act last year, which would have established a federal reporter's shield law. That got voted down last year. The House passed the Press Act in January of last year. However, despite bipartisan support, the shield law languished in the Senate for months as Democrats did nothing to move the bill for a vote. I don't believe that the Democrats were in control of the Senate in January of 2024. If I'm correct, Kevin, no? Wouldn't that have been Mitch McConnell having to bring that forward? Okay.
Possibly. I don't remember.
Even if it had bipartisan support, you're not getting Mitch on board with that shit. Especially Mitch, like practically a vegetable. Last April, when White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, that's an extreme position lady, was asked if Biden supported the Press Act, she uttered a platitude. Journalism is not a crime. Oh, well. You mean the words that scroll across the bottom of that ticker every fucking show? Gaslighting cunts. All these people, gaslighting cunts.
Yep.
We've been very clear about that, except that you criminalize journalism every day when you persecuted Julian Assange. The White House refused to back legislation that would protect reporters from the type of attacks their news gathering that Bondi just authorized. After Vice President Xanax lost the presidential election to Trump, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Alien Burger Flipper Schumer and other Democrats, like Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Dick Durbin, who's now retiring, suddenly recognized the need to pass the Press Act. But it was too late. Trump came out against the shield law, instructing Republicans to kill the bill. Republican douchebag Senator Tom Cotton obeyed Trump and blocked the bill, as he had done during a previous session of Congress. Wait, you mean senators can actually stand up and stop legislation from happening all by themselves? Did somebody forget to tell Bernie Sanders that? I guess so. Every Democrat who put the Press Act on the back burner when they had the opportunity to pass a bipartisan bill codifying journalist source confidentiality should be ashamed, said Freedom of the Press Foundation Advocacy Director Seth Stern after Bondi revoked press protections. Quote, everyone predicted this would happen in a second Trump admin, yet politicians in a position to prevent it prioritized empty rhetoric over putting up a meaningful fight. Because that's what they're paid to do. They're the Washington Generals to the Republican Harlem Globetrotters, and maybe somebody someday will actually figure it out beyond us. Quote, because of them, a president who threatens journalists with prison rape for protecting their sources, says reporting critically on his administration should be illegal, can and almost certainly will abuse the legal system to investigate and prosecute his critics and the journalists they talk to. Yes, they're going to do that. And they're going to do that to liberal journalists. And that's why they care. That's the only reason why a lot of these people care. They're not principled.
Look at the gaslight.
Now, Kevin is principled. Kevin Gosztola is principled, but a lot of these people are not. Because if it were Republicans that it was happening to, they'd either look the other way or cheer it on. Trump's second term already presents more danger to freedom of the press than his first term, particularly because there's nothing constraining his administration. They are hell-bent on weaponizing government and engaging in the kind of lawfare that they fervently believe the Biden administration waged against them. They're just continuing the precedent that was already set.
That's the thing right there.
Thanks, Democratic assholes. Yeah, they're going to put up a fight while they already set the precedent for all of this the last 4 years. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
As the Dissenter thoroughly recounted when Biden's term ended, his administration laid the foundation for further attacks on the press by Trump. The Biden admin continued the unprecedented Espionage Act prosecution against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. And in Florida, FBI agents raided the home newsroom of Timothy Burke in 2023. That's not even who I was talking about. The following year, the DOJ charged him as an economic cyber criminal. A jury trial is scheduled for September 8th of this year.
WikiLeaks. The Julian Assanges.
WikiLeaks. The WikiLeaks?
Yep.
The WikiLeaks.
Yeah. Those guilty of journalism could have the ability to go to court and fight back against Trump's war on the press. Could have had it, but now as Trump officials spread propaganda to demonize reporters and whip up public support for violating their First Amendment rights, there's little that the news media can do to stop petty and vindictive officials eager to target them and their sources. Thanks, Obama.
You're welcome.
And
thanks, Obama.
That makes me fear for reporters like Arturo Dominguez, honestly, who does incredible work on exposing the stuff that's happening at CCOT and that's happening to the immigrants all over this country and the students and the visa revocations, and that speaks fluent Spanish that can actually communicate with the migrants. I mean, go figure. Yeah. If you're able,
now for something completely different,
right? If you're able to, we certainly will not be monetized for talking about stories that Trump is criminalizing press freedom. So if you're able to, please, Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, INNnewsletter.com. Any amount that you can do helps. $5, $10, $100 is even better. Thanks. We got bills to pay. We've been doing great. We really thank everybody who's been able to step up and help us out. And if you're able to, that's awesome. If you're not, please just share the content more importantly than anything. Support independent media, folks. We need it more than ever. I love you all.
Ciao, baby.
Bye, Felicia.
No! We just fucking lost the stream.
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? To 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.